Well, Nan, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So season 7 premieres tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is the overarching theme for this season?
We never have one overarching theme. I mean, the overarching theme is plants in our world. But beyond that, we love to have diversity. So we have all kinds of different stories that all sort of fall under that plants, people, planet, that umbrella that we're doing this season.
And, earlier this week, we did an entire show on Earth Day, and one of the things we talked about was composting. What did you learn about that? Because I know you did an episode on the same thing.
Well, we did an episode of composting a number of years ago, and composting is so diverse. We talk about it as one thing. It's a process, but that process is carried out under so many different kinds of conditions. At home, in industrial settings, on farms, nurseries. There's the fact that you can compost anything that's organic, basically, anything that's animal or vegetable, and do it in so many ways and reduce the impact on our landfills and reduce greenhouse gases and all those things. I mean, composting seems like a very simple thing to do, but it has huge ramifications.
And in all of the places that you take us along in your episodes, it really does, I'm sure, inspire a lot of people to want to do gardening of their own. Space, though, is limited in many places here in San Diego. Can you do a garden anywhere, and how do you work around the space issue?
Well, it's interesting you asked that, because one of our favorite episodes this season, one of the last episodes, in fact, we just finished shooting yesterday, is on community gardens. So if you don't have room to do it at home, or you have a small patio, you don't have enough sunlight, or you just don't want to do it by yourself, there are more than 80 community gardens around San Diego. And they're of every variety, size, price point you can imagine. And they're wonderful because they're places where literally the community comes together and they build community. And if you don't know how to garden, the people in the garden will teach you, whether formally or informally.
And given everything that you've learned and everything that you know about gardening, what's the key to having a successful garden?
Patience. Patience. Because gardening is so much trial and error. It's so much letting things happen, watching what's happening, understanding, observing, figuring out what the issues are. Everybody wants to reach for the bottle of X to solve Y problem. Don't do that. What is the problem? Is there really a problem? Somebody sent me a photo recently of a citrus, lemon or orange leaf, and they had aphids on it. And they wanted to know what to treat it with, and I said nothing. Because among those little white aphids were some little white balls, solid balls. They were not transparent, they were more translucent. Those were aphids that had been parasitized by a wasp. This is the natural control for aphids. The wasp lays their eggs in those little aphids. The eggs hatch and they eat the aphids from the inside out. So they were basically growing their own pesticide right there. If they'd sprayed it or washed those aphids away, they would have destroyed the natural balance in their garden. But they didn't have to do anything. It was happening right there in front of them. They just didn't recognize it. Those are the things that we need to pay attention to. What's happening in my garden? What's going right? If things are going wrong, what is the problem? And then how do I solve that problem, or do I even need to? Is it really a problem?
Who knew that gardening could be a life lesson in patience?
Oh my God, the biggest. The only thing that's a bigger life lesson than the garden in terms of patience, having children.
Nan Sterman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.